everyone, Gaijin Goomba here. Sorry about the wait everyone, we had some last minute goofs and couldn't get the next video out for a bit, but we're back! And just in time too, because in my absence, Nintendo announced something so drastic that I have not seen a divide in Nintendo fans this big since the introduction of Wii motion controls.
Step right up, ladies and gents, and feast your eyes on the future of gaming. Say goodbye to gaudy plastic peripherals and no more low battery controllers controlling you. Introducing Cardboard. Alright, good do-it-yourself kit taken from the finest in post receptacles. Simply pop out the pre-cut pieces, follow the instructions on screen, and you too can have your very own micro piano. Go fishing in the comfort of your own home. Punch buildings as a futuristic automatron. Even create your own man who falls down. A man who falls down, ladies and gentlemen. And how much would such a fantabulous contraption cost? $40? $50? Well, right now you can get your hands on this futuristic gaming set for only $70. That's $70 for all these amazing contraptions you can probably make yourself. Do I hear any takers?
Yeah, I've never seen so many confused faces in my life. In the past, Nintendo's been pretty wacky when it comes to its add-ons. From as far back as the SNES era with its D-battery draining oversized Super Scope, to the Wii's plethora of expandable sports equipment, to even the Switch where Nintendo is still pushing that freaking Mario Kart wheel. But this? These $70 sheets of cardboard seem to have really taken the cake with everyone. Almost every reaction video I've seen on YouTube has been one of anger, disappointment, and a lot of times, pure unadulterated confusion. And I won't lie, I kinda share the sentiment. This seems like such a bizarre choice for Nintendo to make, especially during the upswing of the Switch. $70 cardboard peripherals for a modern gaming console? All it would take would be one slightly clumsy bump of the table holding someone's Diet Coke to ruin that investment. I figured after the rise and the fall of the Wiimote and the dozens of attachments that came with it, Nintendo would kinda be over this whole thing. Curious to the whole predicament, I started thinking as to why in the world Nintendo went with this paper-centric hardware idea. First thing that came to mind was the Paper Mario games. Maybe they were trying to capitalize on the franchise? But no, there wasn't a single shred of Mario present in any of these cardboard cutouts. You'd think maybe a Mario sticker or two, or maybe even the kids could draw something in, but nothing. Alright, I thought, maybe this is more hard-rooted into traditional Japanese culture, because after all, if my countless videos on Nintendo's various franchises have taught me anything, it's that they love their domestic cultural references. And there isn't much that's more traditionally Japanese than origami. From 794 to 1185, origami was a centerpiece in both religion and ceremony in Japan, mostly due to how expensive and hard to make paper was for the time. But around the 1600s, the advancement of technology made paper much easier to make, and not only contributed to the origami boom, but the ukiyo-e art boom as well. But Labo isn't really origami, is it? Yeah, it's paper-ish and folding is involved, but Labo utilizes pre-cut sheets and intensive instructions in order to create the different game peripherals, whereas the only consistency origami had was its perfectly square paper. Even then, that singular rule got broken constantly. There had to be something more. Maybe something unique within Nintendo as a company. Maybe not so much Japanese culture, but rather Nintendo culture. After some digging around Nintendo's history, well, I hate to say it guys, but we should have seen Labo coming from a mile away. Nintendo hasn't always been the juggernaut titan of a video game company it is today. In fact, you want to talk about a company that just kept throwing darts at a wall until something stuck? Nintendo was the embodiment of the meaning of its own name, leave luck to heaven. Cause these guys tried everything till they finally lucked out in video games. In the very beginning, Nintendo started making Hanafuda playing cards back in 1889, continuing to do so until the 1960s. It was pretty dang lucrative, but starting to hit the saturation point when the 60s rolled around. The next big idea from the big end was a little invention created by Nintendo maintenance engineer Gunpei Yokoi called the Ultra Hand in 1966. A grabby mechanical hand that apparently was used by kids in order to steal people's wallets and kangaroos? Seems like a weird product, but it did sell over 1 million units in Japan. But that too didn't last too long. It was only in 1985 that Nintendo finally struck a gold vein that would last them for decades and redefine their company forever. The Famicom. An immediate hit that not only pulled Nintendo out of near bankruptcy, but also single-handedly saved video games from completely crashing in the United States. And though Nintendo continues to lead the charge in the video game industry, they haven't forgotten their past. During the 30th anniversary of the Super Mario Bros., Nintendo began to once again print and distribute Hanafuda cards, but themed with various Mario characters. As popularity for the cards grew, Nintendo began to utilize other franchises in their Hanafuda prints, such as Pokemon back in 2013. Even Gunpei's Ultra Hand has a presence within Nintendo's video game-centric company, making an appearance in the WiiWare game Grill Off with Ultra Hand. Nintendo has always strived to innovate how games are played, but they've also always revisited the past to try and take an old company idea and make it into a new product. And Nintendo Labo? Absolutely no different. Because at one point in time, Nintendo had their hands in yet another money-making product simply known as Paper Model, a series of do-it-yourself paper and cardboard sets for kids. Shocked? Yeah, I was too when I was browsing around for more information on the Labo. Thanks to a humble blog called BeforeMario.com, to which I gotta credit a lot of my information to, I came to find out that the most perplexing announcement from Nintendo in over a decade was actually more foreseeable than the ending of a core Mario game. I mean, it made sense at the time. Nintendo had access to printing companies and even some in-house creation for what, 50 years? And now with Hanafuda cards almost exclusively being used for underground gambling, it was smart of them to want to move away from producing playing cards and try something a little more family-friendly. Nintendo tinkered with the idea of cutout models for their Picture Cutter series back in the late 60s, but 1974 was when they went all in with their Paper Model series. In it were two types of packages within 3 different sets. Package-wise, there was the standard paper model, which had a single sheet of cutout pieces for 100 yen. Then there was the panorama paper model that had 4 or more sheets at 300 yen. As far as the sets go, Nintendo began production by starting with the vehicle series. Everything from airplanes to sporty cars to even gigantic warships like the Yamato were sold to kids to construct and play. Up next was the building series, and for only having a few cuts to work with, some of these buildings I think are really exquisite. From modern homes to elaborate farmhouses to rigid pagodas, all of this could be built by hand and by children. Finally, you have my favorite, the animal sets. I get that ancient origami had already begun to master the technique of creating animals from paper, but these were kinda nuts. Though more simplistic in construction than the first 2 series, the animal series I think has some of the most unique detail. Vehicles and houses are pretty geometric in shape as is, but to make something like an elephant out of paper and have it look this good is really impressive. Now, while the Nintendo Paper Model series has been out of print for decades now, the spirit of it still lives on within Nintendo's properties. When Nintendo faced rights issues with Square Enix and Mario RPG, it's very likely that the aforementioned Paper Mario was born from Nintendo's past history with papercraft. I mean, they even released 4 papercraft patterns to help promote Mario & Luigi Paper Jam. So considering all this, it's not at all surprising Nintendo would announce something like Labo. Heck, with all the past investment in factories and printing, I'm surprised they didn't do this sooner. Because this is the thing I learned about Nintendo while researching this episode. They are always experimenting with new ways to play games. Not just video games, but even more traditional games. I've heard they actively hire on new staff with 0 video game experience on purpose so they can get a fresh take on new ways to play. And by doing so, try to find the next evolution in how we see and play video games. Sometimes this approach works, and sometimes it doesn't. But no matter how strange or left field Nintendo might be when it comes to their new products, I wouldn't discount their new ideas so quickly. By trying to hybridize the way they make video games with the knowledge of their past products, who knows? An old idea might lead to the next innovation. So if anyone's gonna make a series of cardboard cutouts to use as imaginative tools to play video games, I can't think of anyone more qualified than Nintendo. But thanks for watching, everyone. I just recently got done doing some big request videos about Zero from Borderlands 2 and Overwatch's Year of the Dog Skins over on my channel, but Matt and Austin have been coming up with some pretty crazy videos on human psyche involving Pokemon and Doki Doki Literature Club. There's always exciting content coming from us theorists, so be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of our newest videos. But until then, everyone, this is Gaijin Kumba, signing out.